it's me again, it's Rachel. I'm just doing another video following on from last week's, and it's going to be talking a little bit more about what the signs of borderline personality disorder is, and a bit more of an explanation of which of the particular symptoms was picked up that I have that was used for the diagnosis. So altogether there are 9 definitive symptoms of the borderline personality disorder, and to get a diagnosis you need to consistently display at least 5 of them. And when I say consistently, I think it's not a hard and fast rule, but it's usually if it's been shown like over 12 consecutive months. So there's 9 altogether, so I'll list them first and then I'll go into a little bit more detail about them. So the first one is fear of abandonment. Number 2 is unstable relationships. The third one is identity disturbance. Number 4 is being impulsive. Number 5 is suicidal behaviour. Number 6 is affective instability. Number 7 is chronically feeling empty. Number 8 is intense anger. And 9 is paranoia under stress. Now, I will link a video that kind of explains it a lot more in detail. The video's done by like a medical professional. And as I said, she explains it a lot clearer. But yeah, I'll just talk a bit more about how they affected me. So the first one was a fear of abandonment. And this can be like based on fact or perception. So, for example, with me, I've always got this underlying fear that I'm going to be cut off, or I'm going to be, dropped from a friendship group, or, dropped from something and like sort of left out. So for example, obviously I haven't been able to do it because of lockdown, but say if I message a friend and I was like, oh, do you want to go out for food on Wednesday? They might message and be like, oh, I can't. And like, my brain automatically assumes they don't want to come, they don't want to be friends anymore, they don't like me, they don't want to be around me. Whereas in reality, it might be they're at work. It could be as simple as that, but my brain automatically goes to that worst case scenario rather than being like, oh, they've got other plans. And sometimes that can be fulfilling because like it's like sometimes it's like if they don't give a reason why they don't want me to be there, I can take offence to it, and like, some people get bored of that behaviour. Second one, as I said, was unstable relationships, and this can be where I'll see like other people, and like this can be family, it can be friends, it can be romantic relationships where everything's fine, everything's lovely, everything's great, and then like one tiny disagreement, it doesn't even have to be a disagreement, it might be a misunderstanding, and all of a sudden that other person is the worst person I've ever met. They're horrible, they're vile, I want nothing to do with them ever again. And well, depending on the strength of the relationship, like literally the next day I can go back to thinking they're fabulous, thinking they're great, best things in sliced bread. So yeah, it's just very unstable, and kind of throughout my life a lot of relationships have ended because of this, friendships have ended because of this. I am lucky I have had friends that recognise the behaviour and they, give it a couple of days and everything will be fine again. But, I have lost friends and I've lost some brilliant relationships because of it. The third one is identity disturbance. And this is about not having a great and kind of concrete knowing of like who you are as a person. And this can be, from not being sure, like, what do you want out of life, which that is a bit me. And so then that means you kind of bounce from kind of ideas. So I like, 1 week it's like, oh, I want to do this, and then the next week it's like, oh, I want to do this, and there's no kind of stability. And one of the things is, and I think this is what hit me, it's the chronically need to change appearance. Dyeing the hair on a whim, cutting your hair on a whim, changing like the style of how you dress on a whim. One day you'll be dressed like this and the next day you want to present like this. And yeah, so it's not really, because it says identity disturbance, it's not really about having different I think some people who have it extreme have like different personalities, but it's about like constantly changing because you want to be someone else, you want to be you want to look like you're this person, you want to look like you're this. And I obviously do that. I've been known to go from blonde to redhead to black hair to back to blonde, black to red within a week. Changing my hair 5-6 times in a week. So yeah, it's kind of, whereas other people, they'll kind of like have one hairstyle, they have one way how they dress and they kind of stick to that. Whereas I'm just like, all over. So the fourth one is about being impulsive. And I didn't think I was, but then as I, sort of think back, I have impulsively left jobs, I've impulsively put a car when I was at uni, impulsively like sort of gone on, nights out, like, not nights out, but like I've gone on, to meet people off the internet, like kind of within like 10 minutes of talking to them. But yeah, like the impulsive, like, sort of with jobs and that, and like, there's been several times I've been on the bus to work and it's been a nice day and I've gone, you know what, I'd rather go to the beach today, and I just didn't bother going to work. So just like impulsively quitting jobs like that. Which, at the time it's a bit, living in the moment, live your best life. And then like on the evening you then go, oh shit, I've got rent to pay. And like then having to fight to keep that. It's about kind of doing what kind of makes you feel good at that moment. And then, sort of having to live with the consequence. Luckily I have always been fine. I've always like managed to get like a new job before, getting into any like real trouble. But again, it's just been, kind of, unstable. And like a lot of these link into each other. So, let me have a look. So, like unstable relationship. Sometimes that might be work colleagues. Like, a work colleague might say something like, if, I don't know, like anything, like, oh, you're working a bit quick today, or you're looking a bit under the weather. I'd then be like, oh, well, they obviously hate me. Why do I want to work with people that hate me? Therefore, I leave the job. Like, I can't really give like good examples off the top of my head. Whereas, other people, if they were at work and like a colleague said something, they'd just be like, yeah, I'm not listening to you, whatever. And just be able to then focus back on the job. Then with me it becomes like all consuming. Number 5 is suicidal behaviour. As I mentioned in the last video, been self-harming since I was about 13. I haven't for a while now, and sometimes it's hard because, as I've said, it is my way of dealing with stress. So, self-harm, I've took overdoses, all of that. And the thing that makes it like such a harsh symptom of the borderline personality disorder is like, I don't really see anything wrong with it. I don't. People are, if like they say, like, I have got like cuts on my arms, cuts on my legs. They have a problem with it, whereas I kind of don't. I'm not hurting anyone. And like, I recognise maybe that's not help because, it's not something I would recommend to someone else. Like, if, like, my friend came to me and was like, oh, I'm feeling really stressed, what shall I do? I wouldn't go, oh, slice your arm open. But I don't see a problem doing it myself. Number 6 is affective instability. And this is kind of what I explained a bit last week. And this is where your mood fluctuates extremely quickly and very intensely, and it can take over to the point where you might not actually know it has done until it has. And this can be like minute to minute. Like an example, probably today, as you see what gym stuff on. I went to a gym class. It was the first time I went to this gym. I got in, signed in, and I was like, oh, where are you changing rooms? And they're like, oh, the changing rooms are shut because of COVID. You should have got ready before you came. And I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. It didn't say on your website or anything when you booked it. There wasn't a sign in the window. And like, say at this point, most normal people would have gone, oh, you know what, I'm sorry, next time, don't worry, I will. But is there anywhere I can just change today? And, she did say, oh, you can use the toilets, but, it'll be cramped and stuff. And most people would have just left it there. But I can't, because I became totally angry because, it feels like she's having a go at me. So I get so defensive. I was like, well, and I'm just literally start not shout. Well, I don't think I shout, but everyone else seems to think I do. And just so irritable. I was like, well, you should have it on the website. You should have a post. And it comes over and I'm kind of shouting before I even know I do. So when I've got change, I was like, did I really need to do that? And this is hard because on my logical side, it's like, well, if you want people to know this stuff, then put it on your website, put it on the doors. But yeah, so it's I'd gone from, being really happy, looking forward to the gym, to just being so angry, within 2 minutes. So, and this can be anything, and with that particular scenario, obviously there's a trigger, but there doesn't always have to be a trigger. An example that I actually told the therapist when I was getting the diagnosis is, I can be having quite a mundane day or a happy day, and I might be doing the washing up, and then you start going, oh, what shall I have for tea? And then my brain will just be like, why are you thinking about tea? You could just die, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, good point, I could. And then within seconds, I just feel really depressed and, really sad. Because then I start thinking about all the other bits, like, the unstable relationships, like the things I've done on impulse, and then that makes me feel, kind of worthless and all of that, and then that leads, that leads into like kind of feeling quite like unstable. And the seventh one was the chronically feeling empty. No, but this one I wouldn't say it's chronic. It's probably the one I identify with less than the others. But it is only like sometimes it does kind of feel like I'm kind of like a bit out of body experience. It's not like me experiencing things. Feeling empty is sometimes like if upset or have an argument, it's almost as if I've like got no feelings on that. And I think it's not so much empty, but it's almost like there's just something missing. Like, I always feel like a bit of a jigsaw, and like the last piece is not there. Like, there's like a hole. And, according to the explanations kind of given by the professional, it's like there's a hole and then you're always trying to fill it. And my hole is like, like it's always like not doing enough. So, I kind of feel that with like volunteering for stuff. Just trying to be involved in different groups, trying to be useful, but also kind of like, some people think we like drugs and things. I mean, I don't. And like food's one for me, sort of, because you don't feel anything, you just kind of like try and make yourself feel something. It's actually like this. It sounds quite depressing. This doesn't it? But this is the thing. Like, I mean, because I'm literally now just pointing out all the bad things that I do. But when it's like, because I've been doing it for so long, it doesn't feel like it's bad things. It's very normal to me. 8, I'm in the intense anger. I mean, I've gone through. I mean, and I think that one feeds through all of them. It feeds through the abandonment. It goes through like the relationships. Goes like the impulse. But yeah, it's like it's the intensity, because like everyone gets angry. Everybody gets angry. But with mine, if there's something that angers, like I can't let it go for days even. And if it's a kind of anger where I'm angry at someone else, let's say, I think for example, like if the one time I asked someone who I used to live with if I just got a letter that needs to go to the post office. And like they were going to town anyway, and I was like, can you please pop this in the post office for me? Like it wasn't an urgent letter, it didn't have to be anywhere by a particular time. I think because I needed to get it like signed for. So obviously I couldn't just put it in a normal post box. They were going to town and they were like, yeah, no worries. Anyway, I got back from work and it turned out they didn't end up going to town. There's a change of plan. Whatever. So she's like, oh, I didn't manage to go to the post office, so I'll just go tomorrow. And like, literally just angry like that. Because I was like, oh, you lied to me, you said you were going, you promised you would, you've done this on purpose, like against me. I blamed, accused not being a friend. Really intense. Whereas, like normal people, they're just kind of okay, no worries. Can you do it? If you're going tomorrow, will you do it tomorrow? So yeah, with the intense anger and then then, like, because this comes in with the fear of abandonment, because I then think, oh, yeah, she's done it on purpose, it's because she doesn't want to be my friend, so now I'm feeling the abandonment. So then, with the fear of abandonment, mine's very much, if I hurt you first, then you can't hurt me. So I was like, oh, you know, you're obviously not a good friend, maybe you shouldn't be living here, maybe you should move out, because they were renting a room from mine. But then, like, and the thing is, with the intense anger and anything like that, there's always a regret. A couple of days after, when you realise, okay, that was very out of proportion. But then this all like kind of feeds in to the other stuff, because then you got the fear of abandonment. You know, maybe she will move out now. And if she does move out, like, then I haven't got that income coming, so then that's, you know, it's kind of stable, and then is that affecting my finances? Is this, you know, it was very impulsive that I've told her that I don't want her to live there, and it all kind of feeds in. But as I say, you know, there is the regret, and some friendships, some relationships cope with that, some of them don't, but not really much I can do about it. I mean, there is. I mean, hence why I'm going to the therapy and that. You know, I do try. And it's one of these things, I can all see how much of an overreaction it is, but it's always, usually too late. And the 9th one is, when you stress, you can become paranoid. I get this a little bit, not like not super paranoid, not probably to the level where you think paranoia is at. But you know, if I'm going on a stressful time, and it links to like the fear of abandonment. You know, if I feel stressed, I do have that paranoia that people aren't liking who I am, that I'm not good enough for them, and something might come about that. It's like lately I've had a lot of stress, like we've said, in my house. So, you know, sort of at work, I haven't quite been as productive as I could be, but, you know, my manager and my work colleagues are so understanding and will literally do anything to help. But in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get sacked. I bet they hate me. I'm going to get sacked. Maybe I should just put my notice in, because I'm obviously not doing what I should be doing. They've gave no indication of that. And even when I've said, oh, you know, I'm worried that, you know, I'm going to get sacked, and even my manager said, we're not going to sack you. You're just going on a stressful time. But the paranoia of, being judged, not being good enough, etc. It is there. But yeah, as I said, I've experienced all of them, few more than others. But yeah, I think the borderline personality disorder, that it's usually a disorder that's summarised by instability and insecurity. But what I'll do is I'll pop a link to the other video. It's just under half an hour long, and yeah, I hope a lot of that makes sense. As I said, those were examples of the symptoms. And I do start my therapy tomorrow, and I will be uploading videos to kind of, as I say, keep a diary of how that's going, which I'm looking forward to, but I am apprehensive, because as I have said, these have all been symptoms of the bad things, but because I've always been like this, to me this is very normal. But yeah, that's an update.